I want to talk about the first live music concert I attended and the last. The first was in the auditorium of a small nearby college. The attraction was the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. They had just come out with their first album, and I was eager to hear them play. But that wasn't the only attraction. I was a freshman in college, and at that time, home on some kind of break or vacation, and very, very full of myself. I was escorting a young lady to this concert. I had a date, and the confident intention that she would be impressed with the music, as well as the great taste and overall hipness of the one who had brought her there. It was a big night for me. Incredibly, I wore a sport coat and tie. What did I know? It was a concert at a college, kind of a formal occasion. We got there early, were in our seats, full of various kinds of excitement, everything building up nicely, when this guy came up, a stranger to me. He knelt down in the aisle and began talking to the girl, my date. He wasn't wearing a sport coat and tie. More like jeans and a flannel shirt, carelessly handsome. And he was talking to the girl, my girl, about the upcoming concert. He knew all about the band, blah, blah, blah. All of this, of course, while completely ignoring me, the dick in the sport coat and tie. When he finally left, I didn't ask and she didn't explain. I sat there smoldering, crushed. Eventually the band came on and played, and they were fantastic. I wish I could go back there and hear them again. They were so good. I forgot about my tie, which I had by then removed and put in a pocket. And I had also forgotten about the guy who'd stopped by to chat up my date, only incidentally humiliating me to ashes. Paul Butterfield was sensational on the harmonica, playing through the microphone, tearing me to shreds. I'd never heard anything like that. And Mike Bloomfield and Elvin Bishop had it cooking on their guitars, an incredible combination. The band as a whole was a steaming hot blues engine, overwhelming, almost too much to take in. I saw them play on 2 other occasions. The second time was in a small club with no seating, just an open area around the bandstand. If anything, they were even better. I remember standing right up in front of them and feeling the music blow right through me. The third time I pushed my luck. It was a new band, and the guitar player, Buzzy Fightin, was so frightened that he didn't play a note all night. Butterfield played like he was pulling a heavy wagon all by himself. He and Bloomfield would be dead soon, at 44 and 38 of heroin overdoses. The last concert I attended was in Boston, at some arena, the Rolling Stones. It was terrible, or I should say, for me it was terrible. The other people there, in the thousands, seemed to enjoy it immensely. The only way you could enjoy it, because the place was huge, the stage was far away, and I felt absolutely no connection to the band or the music, despite the gigantic amplification of both sights and sounds. They had a big light display and enormous props, and I was completely aware that this was a show, an act, part of a tour, not anything with genuine feeling. Everyone was smoking pot or doing some kind of drug, and everyone was behaving erratically, loud and obnoxious, except it was clear that all of these people thought that night was the epicenter of cool, and they were acolytes of true hipness. They were wild and free. I could not get out of there fast enough, and I vowed never to return. A few years later, when 11 people were stampeded, crushed to death before a Who concert, I remembered that night in Boston. The Stones, by then, were billing themselves as the greatest rock and roll band in the world, and maybe they were. From the first, they had distanced themselves from the lovable mop-tops, the Beatles, calling themselves their satanic majesties, and they sang Gimme Shelter, Let It Bleed, and Sympathy for the Devil. And they played this out in their lives. Hot Lips Mick breeding with supermodels all over the world, and Scarecrow Keith miraculously surviving all possible combinations of drink and drugs. The 60s were a flower that blossomed and died. Woodstock was in 1969. In 1969 we landed on the moon. And in 1969 the Stones played at Altamont, a free concert where a young man was stabbed and beaten to death by Hell's Angels, who had been hired to act as security guards. In some way, all that devil shit was no act.